Finally, it rises.
Hey, it's ODB, the Lincoln Addict, and we're going to take a look at this very unique 63 Continental Roadster. Yes, you heard that right. So let's dive right in. The first thing that I did was I took a look at the VIN, and it is listed in the Lincoln registry. This was listed actually, or entered rather, back in 2017, and it's since been updated as recent as July, I think probably around the time that this car popped up on eBay. Now, the unique thing about it is in this title here, you're going to see it says cut top, okay? The easy way to break that down is this is a Roadster, okay? It's a sedan that has had the top removed, cut off, right? Fabricated, someone come in there and basically cut it off, okay? We've seen this over the years, and I would like to talk about, is it worth it? Is this something that you should consider? And let's take a look here through kind of some of the deeper dive on possibly some of the things that they could change to possibly move this car. Now, the thing about eBay is we could scroll down here and we've got the item specifics. Really, all you glean from that is they do mention it's a cut top. We've got the VIN number, which was a key thing. It's showing 165,000 miles, which means this thing has been driven a good amount, and it has a clean title. There is really no other description, which is unfortunate because, as you know, the more information, the better. Okay, so what we got to do is we've got to dive into these photos. So basically, you have here the driver's side with the suicide doors. The doors open front and rear. We can see that, of course, it's a 63. It does have 65 taillights, right? So that's a key thing. And the gentleman that works the registry, he even had mentioned that in his entry. That's not a big deal because 61 through 65 are, virtually the same taillights, except for, I said through 65, they pretty much are, except for in 65, you've got this cage, if you will. So a lot of folks have, if they like that look, they'll put the 65 taillight. It just literally bolts right in. It's super simple kind of mod, if you will. But if that's not your cup of tea, definitely you can go to the usual suspects and purchase. But let's get back into, is this car even worth it? Okay. So what it has going for it, in my opinion, is it's black. That's a key thing. It's got black interior, and it has the appeal of the fact that there's no roof on this car. Now, in the description, if I remember correctly, they mentioned that they kind of use it as a parade car, and I could, definitely understand that. The challenge is it really depends where you live. So could you end up buying this car and enjoying it? Absolutely. Okay. I will tell you, though, the structure in these cars, they're a little bit beefed up when they're convertibles, as you would imagine. I think the same thing for any convertible, including like Mustangs. So for someone to kind of cut the roof off, can you drive safely down the road? Absolutely. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that, this wasn't originally produced or created as a convertible. What we can see here, I'm not sure what this is. We'll have to look at a better photo. I think it's something to do with the flags that they put on it. But you've got this mural on the deck lid, and you have a mural on the hood. And I really, truly feel like if that wasn't there, this car probably would have moved by now. Basically here, there's a message here about JFK, and then it has the presidential seal. So someone has went and airbrushed this. I really don't want to get into what the message is there. It's a theory on why he was killed. In this photo, we can see, okay, yes, get the flags. That's what I thought. They've got these little deals. I don't know how they're mounted on here, but they'll put the flags. What we can see here, though, and this is something the key that you're going to see, is this car is also modified with the suspension. Okay, so these cars are typically low from the factory, but not this low, as you would imagine. So what you see here is obviously the 63, the very distinctive grille that was on these or on the 63 models, of course. And, what looks to be like a convertible, because you've got that look, you've got that feel because the roof is cut off. And again, you can see that the car at this point is pretty low. The front wheel is turned slightly, but that's what you're seeing there. kind of a blurry photo here. And again, this kind of goes down to, why has this car potentially sat on eBay? I know it's been on here for a little while. It's just like, look, we all have smartphones. You can, this is my opinion, you could take better photos than this. Again, this is kind of blurry. I'd like to kind of see, how all this looks back here, but it's just a blurry photo. This one is good, which is fantastic. And as you'd imagine, when they cut the roof off here, I wanted to kind of see what they did here, if this was like some metal work or fiberglass pieces that they made to kind of cover up where the roof would have attached. There's other signs that you could tell that this isn't a convertible. Obviously, there's pieces here. For instance, there would be a molding piece if it was a convertible, and things like that. But, for the most part, you look at this car, and I'm sure if you were driving this car, cruising it in a parade or on the weekend, most folks would think, hey, wow, look at that Lincoln Continental convertible. We can see it does have a dash pad, so it's hard to tell, is the dash still okay? I have a dash pad on my 65, and they're fantastic, but we can't really tell what's underneath there. We do see it has the electronic eye. Up here, you can see a little bit of dinginess. It's hard to tell if this is just dirt and a little bit of surface rust or what's going on in here. But again, the presentation is a key thing. And, to me, you'd want to detail the car nicely so you don't see things, like this. That's just my opinion. You've got this one item here around the kind of the old school. You'd see those back in the 80s a lot, but that isn't really fitting on this Lincoln, in my opinion. Looks like the carpet was changed at some point. This isn't the factory heel pad, but it does have the black carpet. Interior looks good overall. You can see a little bit of where somebody was sitting here, so it's hard to tell what the padding is going to look like. The stitching, again, maybe not perfect, but overall, I think it looks pretty good. You can see that they did install a speaker here. I think that's kind of the least of the worries overall. What you have in the trunk, obviously, because it's not a convertible, you have the standard trunk. So the fuel goes in here, of course. This is where your fuel filler is on 63. You would unlock the trunk, and then it's going to open the normal way. If it was a convertible, it opens the opposite way because the top has to go in. But you've got, just basically a hodgepodge of air suspension. I like air suspension, but certainly, you can kind of tell this is an amateur install, not to insult anyone, but looks like a CD changer here, an amp, 2 Viair compressors, 2 air tanks, and then you've got some wiring coming in here. It just, to me, this could be a much, much cleaner install, and I think the overall presentation on this car is what's driving it to kind of sit around, even though it is a Roadster. We can see it has the MEL 430. Not the cleanest engine bay. Like I've said, typically these aren't super clean, but, we've seen a little bit nicer overall. You've got some surface rust on the air cleaner and on the horns. We can see it has the expansion tank still, and this little guy here, the little the spillover deal is not broken. Oftentimes those are. It has a factory AC car, which is nice, and then it has the fan shroud in there, which it should have. Here we can see the relocated shocks, which is something that you would do if you were putting air suspension on it. This photo, it's hard to really see. This is obviously the front pulley, and what you're looking at here is, some of the grime and stuff on the oil pan. And then this doesn't really show us a lot, but that's the front cross member coming across. You can see the old school, the old bushings. This hasn't really been taken apart because this is a splash shield, and typically these are missing. So it is nice to kind of see that, but, not the best photo. It gives us a little bit of insight onto underneath it. And again, you've got this mural, whether he's paying respect, whatever. Don't want to necessarily get into that, but I truly think like having this on the car, the hood and the deck lid, I mean, maybe a nice thing, maybe a nice gesture, however you want to spin that, but certainly that's going to turn off a lot of potential buyers, in my opinion. We can see the front wheel well here. This is how these cars typically will look. Good thing is it doesn't look like it's really been taken apart. You can kind of see the factory pieces in here, those rubber seals and whatnot, but that's pretty much everything with this car. Now, the key thing is they're asking $24,000 or best offer. don't think necessarily it's such a bad deal for someone that maybe wants the feel of a convertible, that maybe doesn't have the funds to be able to bump up and buy one. I totally get it. But I think a big thing with this is, where are you located? If you're in a place like where I live in Florida, where it rains and then it doesn't, it would be tough to be able to manage this. You'd have to have maybe an enclosed trailer, or plan ahead if you're going to a car show, like, hey, is there a place that I can park underneath if, it starts to downpour, right? Those are some things you need to keep in mind. I would ask for more photos. I'd want to see some videos. Do the windows work? Do all four of them work and things like that? That would be key. Does the AC work? I mean, there's really no description. So it's like, hey, what works and what doesn't? That's a big piece. I'd love to see someone buy one of these and, put a hard top back on it and make it a hardtop removable convertible. Just to manually remove the top. And I know that might sound a little bit, far-fetched, or far-fetched, I should say. But the thing is, in the mini truck scene that I'm from, a lot of guys do that with their Mazdas and Toyotas and Nissans. They'll take the roof and they'll make it a convertible, and they'll make it where the top latches back on. That's been done many, 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 many times, but that would be potentially an option. Or you would have to have some sort of car cover that's waterproof, that if you were at a show and it started the downpour. Now, if you're at a show and it's indoors, hey, that's one thing, but those are some things to kind of keep in mind, in my opinion. Again, I think the look and feel of it is pretty cool, but there's a lot more photos I would want to see. Again, we can't even see up underneath the deck lid here, and whatnot. So, put some eyes on it. And if this interests you, share it with your friends. This one's out in San Jose, California. Thanks for the support, and stay on the rise.